Coming up on Cronkite News, a fight for change. How advocates for the LGBTQ community are working to combat blood donor restrictions.
Plus, the Maricopa County Fair returns after being canceled for 2 years because of the pandemic. We take a look at all the fair has to offer.
And later on Break It Down, we learn more about the World War I and II native code talkers and the impact they had.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm AUTRIYA MANESHNI.
And I'm Kelly Donahue. Thank you for joining us. Since the AIDS epidemic, gay men have been prohibited from donating blood. But now, during one of the biggest blood shortages ever, people are advocating for a policy change. Cronkite News reporter John Brown tells us what changes they want to see.
COVID-19 has changed all of our lives in some way, but for men of the LGBTQ+ community, they have faced a societal challenge for years, donating blood. It started in 1983. The Food and Drug Administration, known as the FDA, banned men who have sex with men, otherwise known as MSM, from donating blood due to HIV and AIDS concerns. And in 2015, the ban was changed to 12 months.
Because there is a massive blood shortage in the United States of America.
Since April of 2020, the Food and Drug Administration has said, defer for 3 months from the most recent sexual contact, a man who has had sex with another man during the past 3 months. Many are frustrated with the FDA's policy, including Johnny Martin, an openly gay man who is advocating for a change.
There's nothing about being a gay person or a gay man in particular that makes my blood any more dangerous or, less desirable when it comes to somebody who, may need their life saved by that kind of donation.
The Southwest Center in downtown Phoenix is actively working on countering misinformation about blood donations and offers healthcare to LGBTQ+ individuals.
Over the last 30 years, we've transitioned more into a integrated medicine and wellness clinic. Our emphasis will always be founded on HIV treatment and prevention, but really recognizing that the wellness of our community is really important in all aspects.
Simon is fed up that policy changes have not been updated, and he says there has been enough research to prove that blood donations by LGBTQ+ men do not lead to diseases like HIV or AIDS.
I could go and lie to donate blood, but should I have to, is the question. And really, that's where the stigma comes in.
Congressman Greg Stanton calls the FDA's and other policies anti-science. He says there is no factual evidence to the assertion.
But the reality is we need that blood to help save lives. And I know there are so many gay men that would love to help others by giving blood. So we don't want to engage in self-defeating public policy.
All three men hope that there is collective permanent change and stories to tell for generations to come. In the newsroom, John Brown, Cronkite News.
Recently, the FDA and the CDC authorized anyone 50 and above to get a second booster dose of the COVID vaccine. Today, Cronkite News reporter Molly McBride joined a meeting with a vaccine researcher where he addressed the need for a second booster.
The guidance also included children 12 and up for Pfizer and 18 and up for Moderna who are moderately to severely immunocompromised. Vaccine researcher and infectious disease specialist Dr. Gregory Polin shared his advice on whether people should get their second booster.
Variants are changing. Right behind BA2 is XD, XE, and XF, and don't discount those. XE is already causing chains of transmission in the UK, and nothing that's happened in the UK vis-a-vis COVID has failed to be reflected eventually in the US.
Dr. Polin says they've seen as much mutation with the SARS-CoV-2 virus as they normally see in 5 to 10 years with something like influenza. The recommendation for the second booster is based on the concern of another surge, evidence of the beginning of surges, and specific characteristics of the BA2 virus.
It is another 30 to 50% more transmissible than Omicron was, which was 50% more transmissible than Delta was.
Dr. Poland warned that because of how much the COVID virus is changing, boosted people may still be susceptible to the next strain.
The benefit of this second booster, if I have a normal immune system, is measurable, it's real, but it's short-lived.
He recommends for eligible people to talk to their healthcare providers to see if a second booster is right for them. In the newsroom, Molly McBride, Cronkite News.
Governor Doug Ducey recently put an end to Arizona's state of emergency that he declared over 2 years ago in response to COVID-19. Today, as the pandemic starts to dwindle down, the state is also scaling back on updates of COVID-19 hospitalization data. The Department of Health Services director said that a surveillance order requiring hospitals to report COVID-19 data is no longer in effect. This ends graph updates that show data on hospital bed usage availability, specific metrics for COVID-19, and ventilator usage. This comes as COVID-19 hospitalizations have lessened significantly since the Omicron variant's January peak. On March 29th, 429 virus patients occupied inpatient beds, compared to 4,850 in late January.
Anyone planning on attending a public university in Arizona may have to start paying more. 3 universities in the state will be raising tuition for incoming students. We're talking about Arizona State University, Northern Arizona State University, and the University of Arizona. This comes after the board that overlooks the state's public universities okayed the increase. ASU is the only one expected to increase tuition for current students. In-state undergraduate tuition at the 3 universities will increase anywhere from 2 to around 3.5%. Tuition is not the only price hike either. The board also approved an increase in the prices of housing, meals, and some other fees.
Sonora authorities want to expand the real estate market with Arizona. The idea hopes to benefit residents of both states looking to buy property. In a press conference at the Mexican consulate in Phoenix, Sonora and Mexico officials expressed the importance of Mexicans buying real estate in Arizona and Arizonans buying in Sonora. Right now, U.S. citizens cannot own land near the Sonoran coast, so the right way to buy a beach house there is through a trust or LLC. LLC is a limited liability company and is a business structure allowed by state statute.
We want to stimulate, encourage the investment of both states, Sonora and Arizona. We are neighbors, so we as Sonorans and the Arizonans, we both invest in both sides of the borders.
Sonoran officials are promoting a real estate summit scheduled to take place on May 19th in San Carlos, Sonora.
If you're looking for something to do this weekend, the Maricopa County Fair is back up and running here in the Valley. Cronkite News reporter Madison Thomas takes us out to the fairgrounds to show us all the fun.
To not be able to bring the fair for the community and celebrate agriculture and celebrate education and culture and arts and heck, fair food feels like it's been an eternity.
On Wednesday, the county fair reopened its gates for the first time since the start of the pandemic.
2019 was our last fair, so we are so excited to be back.
There were not many changes from the last fair, but there are a few new food vendors, including Dragonfly Designs, which offers a new take on the candy apple, which they call apple nachos.
It's great because every bite has caramel and chocolate on it, and a topping is so good.
Amber Bridges says her best friend is a talented chocolatier.
I grew up in Arizona, and I was telling her, I'm like, we have to do the fair because when I was a kid, we always had the good food. You know, you come out to the fair for the food, and I'm like, this would be great to have people try. So that's why we came out here.
Not only have thousands of people made their way back this year to the Maricopa County Fair, but so have all these animals, and they're definitely making themselves heard here today.
They are all shown by children between the ages of 8 and 19. Those kids spend, some of them up to a year, getting ready for this week. And the passion that they have, the understanding that they have that they are raising animals that go into our food chain and helping feed our public is an amazing thing.
Gavin Cornway has been raising animals for most of his life, and when the pandemic hit, he had to find new ways to compete.
We were still able to show them, but not at this spot, and some of the shows were online.
But he is back at the county fair this year with his sheep, Tupac. In Phoenix, Madison Thomas, Cronkite News.
The fair will run until Sunday. Admission is $9. Kids 7 and under are free.
If you do plan on going to the fair this weekend, you may want to head out early because we're expecting some warm afternoon temps. Luke Vickery joins us from the Cronkite News Weather Center with more.
Good evening, Arizona. Looking at Futurecast right now, a lot of precipitation out towards our east and a little bit of the Midwest, and a lot of that is associated with this large low pressure system we have centered right there. But once that moves out, there's really not much else that's going to take its place. You can see a few storm cells might pop up towards lower Missouri or even, lower Texas towards Houston, but most of that will move out later in the week. Now, looking at our conditions right now, the big picture, high pressure is centered a little bit north of us up towards Wyoming, and once that moves out, that's going to bring a lot of our breezy conditions that we're going to see leading up all the way till Tuesday, when this low pressure system will center just north of us, which actually will bring conditions that could warrant a little bit of rainfall up towards the higher terrain, and maybe even a little bit of chance down here towards Phoenix, but not likely. Looking at our evening right now, towards 6 p.m., about 93 degrees. And as we move on to about 10 p.m. tonight, 82 degrees is what we're going to be looking at. For high temperatures tomorrow, 96 degrees here in Phoenix. That's really the warmest temperatures we're going to see even for the remainder of next week. And those high temperatures are going to be the same up north towards Flagstaff at 68 degrees, down towards Tucson looking at the mid-90s. Now for our 8-day forecast, like I've said, temperatures are slowly going to drop, leading towards Tuesday, where we will see our lowest temperature of the highs for the week at 73 degrees, and then we will slowly warm back up for the remainder of the week. In the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Luke Vickery.
I'm Hayden Weber. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. We'll take a dive into the life of a Division I student athlete next.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Hayden Weber with your Friday Sports Report. Opening day is always exciting, but yesterday was a little more exciting than the rest for the Diamondbacks. The D-backs entered the bottom of the ninth inning, trailing the San Diego Padres 2-1, until the rookie Seth Beer blasted a 3-run home run to walk off the game 4-2. Luck must have been in the air for Seth Beer because yesterday just so happened to be National Beer Day. The undefeated D-backs play Game 2 against the Padres tonight at 6:40 p.m. Now, when you think of spring, opening day definitely comes to mind, but what about football? Arizona State and Arizona will both have their spring football games tomorrow. Both games are set to be televised on the Pac-12 network, with Arizona's Red and Blue game at noon and ASU's Spring Showcase at 7. The spring game should display how different these programs will look next year, especially at the quarterback position. The Wildcats are hoping to improve with the addition of transfer QB Jaden DeLora, and meanwhile, the Sun Devils have a massive quarterback competition after starting QB Jaden Daniels transferred to LSU. The Phoenix Suns have already clinched the top seed in the Western Conference playoffs, but the regular season isn't over yet. In the games ahead, Coach Monty Williams is looking to the younger, less experienced players to dominate playing time to see who can step up.
You find out who that guy is that you may be able to throw in a big game. He may not score or make dynamic plays, but he's not going to go in there afraid. I think you build that confidence in games like this.
The daily life of a collegiate athlete can be pretty busy, filled with practices, classes, studying, and jobs. And that's the case for one ASU water polo player. Cronkite News reporter Parker Gray introduces us to one young woman who works every day to set an example for other student athletes.
For Amira Van Buren, every day is a balancing act. Between leading the women's water polo team and navigating her graduate program, Amira has learned to appreciate her role.
I was kind of thrown into it a while back, and I was super nervous about it. I've kind of just come into it and realized that it's really important for me to have the role that I have.
In the thick of her 5th year on the team, Van Buren continues to have a positive effect on her teammates and serves as a role model for all to follow.
Well, she's great. We love her all. She helps to everybody so much. Honestly, I'm really scared for the next year because she's leaving. She's one of the best leaders I've ever met.
Alongside her water polo role, Van Buren also works to complete her master's degree in social work and one day hopes to establish a career in the medical field.
I know I plan on getting my license. I'll be here in Arizona, so I've definitely been thinking about it, and I'm actually excited. So definitely want to stay in medical social work. Not sure about the population that I'm with, but definitely in the hospital is where I'm aiming to stay.
According to a 2016 research study, 85% of female student athletes report higher stress compared to 52% of non-athlete students. Van Buren acknowledges that her schedule can be daunting, but she is grateful for the strong support that she has around her.
I won't lie, it's really hard. It's just a constant cycle of go, 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 always going. There's never really a time to stop. I'm super grateful because I have a really good support system around me with my family and my boyfriend and my friends.
And Van Buren believes the lessons she's learned juggling academics and athletics will stay with her long after she scores her last goal for ASU. In Phoenix, Parker Gray, Cronkite News.
Amira and the number 9 ranked Sun Devils take on the number 3 ranked USC Trojans tomorrow. They hope to close out their season strong in advance of the NCAA tournament. That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Autria.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org. Next.